All right, welcome back to our little series on athletes and sport performance. And with us is Emma Molenaar, as a former top athlete, sports person, coach, and also NLP Master Trainer, that's sharing with us some insights that hopefully will help you in your or your children's performance. I don't even know how to put this, but it's a longer email, which probably I'm not going to read it all. But what is asking, what is actually the mindset training for consistency? And I know this is a big one, for consistency on and off the field.
It's like asking for the magic pill.
Yeah, right, exactly. A little bit, yeah.
Well, the first thing to realize is that what you do on the field is virtually no different to what you do off the field, because they go hand in hand. It is a reflection of your attitude.
Say this again. I think this is extremely important, because people think, oh, I do this there, but otherwise, my life is different. Many people make this mistake. So
absolutely.
say that again, please.
Look, what you do on the field and off the field, they go hand in hand. They are a reflection of each other. And you can say, oh, yeah, it's a personality. Well, no, it's a choice. We can debate personality on this, but it's a choice, how you show up in an area of your life. And if you, from a consistency perspective, are not equally as consistent in dedication, training, putting time and effort into learning a skill or a process, or chasing the thing that you tell yourself that you want. If you are not doing that, then really what you're doing is you're saying you're a part-time participant, and that means that you should expect part-time results as well. So I'm sure any of the top athletes, the big names, the Ronaldos, the Messis, the Djokovic, the Federers, right? Tom Brady, right, in NFL,
yes,
right? What they do outside of the field is a reflection of what they do on the field. So there's a level of commitment, a level of dedication, a level of, executing what needs to be executed. That all continues. Just because it's not in the context of sports doesn't mean that the rest doesn't happen. So you need to be consistent in your day-to-day, and if you want to call it training, look at it as training, right? What do I do day to day is part of training for how I do when it matters, when it's crunch time, so that then live up to the expectations that you probably have of yourself, maybe other people have of you as well, sure, but definitely expectations, so that you can show up to the level that you envision that to be.
So are you actually saying that if you want to, or you are striving to, or you already have achieved a level of excellence in sports, either where you're striving to get there, or you are on your way there, or you have achieved it? So all of these examples, virtually you're excellent in your life, in everything you do. I mean, you expect from yourself the same level of excellence as you would do in sports? Because I'm thinking you mentioned, first of all, Federer. I mean, you look at that person and you go, it's speechless, how amazing it is. But also I'm looking at Djokovic, on the other hand, because many times he's been put under tremendous pressure from outside, which, you would have said, oh, people crack under pressure. But this guy somehow didn't crack under pressure, which was just unbelievable, because at least how I see it, is like in their lives, they have the same demands on themselves, if you want, or they live in the same way as they do in sports. Am I anywhere correct in what I'm assuming?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's something that, again, if you choose to, it is your choice to strive towards, and that at the end of the day, that is all we can do. We can strive towards that level of excellence, whatever that level of excellence is. And the level will always change. Wherever the level of excellence is now is not where it will stay, because if you do this long enough, you're going to get better. And then it will move, it will shift, which is fantastic. The other thing in terms of consistency, and this is probably one of the few occasions where I would say, all right, what happens outside of you to an extent is important, and where you can influence that that would be something to consider, and something that you can influence. And I talk about this with my athletes and usually their family as well, their team. And when I say team, not necessarily the team that you play on and the other players and the coach, but I mean the other members of your team. We all have a team. We have a fan base, right? And they're always there. And we have the usual ones. We have the ones that are the pick-me-ups. We have the ones that give you the pep talk. We have the ones that give you the reality check. We have the ones that are just like the cheerleader. Doesn't matter what happens. We have the ones that are like super, think about this, and very logical and very, so we have a number of roles that get filled by various people in our surrounding.
Right.
Sometimes voluntarily, sometimes not so voluntarily. But where possible, it would be really helpful to make sure that you recruit the best possible people that you have access to help fill some of those roles. From a consistency perspective, it is an external factor, but it's an important external factor. We all want someone that's in our corner. We all want someone.
If in your surrounding you have a person, maybe it's and sometimes maybe even a family member that, I'm going to say this in NLP jargon, is motivated away from telling you always what could go wrong. Yeah. And you're at home now, you're not practicing, you're not with your team, or it depends on the sports, right? You are in, but you hear all the time, no matter how good you do, you're never good enough. You can do better. There's not, and you're always this is in your environment, right? You have an influence that's not supportive for your success. Now, I'm not talking about, okay, you didn't practice, you weren't in good shape, you didn't sleep the previous night, and you really bummed it, right? You really screwed up. And yet the person goes, oh, you've been the best, because that's, if I may say, BS, right? I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about somebody who is supportive versus somebody who is always beating you up. I think that makes also a difference, because you mentioned the environment. I think it's very important to surround yourself with people that are really there to encourage you and provide that environment, that with you doing the work, that doesn't exclude you, but also providing the everything around you that leads you to where you want to be, I guess.
Absolutely. 100%. Maybe one add-on to that is a lot of I guess a commonality that is shared amongst, quite successful athletes. And again, those successful athletes are the well-known ones. It doesn't mean that there aren't great athletes that are maybe less known, but share a lot of those similarities. An overlapping thing is the ability to kind of be bold in challenging yourself, potentially challenging sometimes the status quo. And we talk about consistency. What does that have to do with consistency? Challenging something that is the status quo. That's not consistent at all. But you know what? Peak performance is about challenging the status quo. It is all about challenging the status quo. So working confidence, building up a level of confidence that consistently challenges that status quo. I've certainly seen it used very successfully for a number of athletes, where that really works to help them perform consistently. I'm not saying that everyone needs to go out there and do that, because look, if it's really not your thing, if it totally clashes with your I guess your personality and your behavior, then I'm not here to tell you to do something else. But otherwise, yes, challenge. Don't just accept things just because they don't have to be. They're probably not going to be.
Right. And I still think, of course I would, because, of what I do, but I still think that a mental cleanup is absolutely necessary. What are the beliefs? Are my beliefs supporting for my consistent behavior or not? Are my emotions and my emotional experiences from the past supporting? This is the inner environment. I'm talking not about the external environment, but the inner environment as well. Are the emotional states, the emotions that I experienced from the past in my previous experiences, supporting me consistently going further and growing or not? And so I think that's also, have you ever done timeline therapy with your group team?
Yes, I have. And it's been very successful. In both on an individual level as well as a team. And it's a bit like, if you want to call it stretching, right? There's a warm up, you have a warm up, there's a routine to which you do a training, right? Same with whether it's music or whatever. And part of your day-to-day in an ideal world would include some timeline therapy. It would include that work to make sure that you clean up those things that no longer serve you, that you have outgrown, or certainly would want to outgrow, so that you can continue to have a fresh mind for the next day when you wake up and your day starts. So 100%.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine that. See, even if you do timeline therapy now, a timeline therapy simply presupposes you let go of all the baggage from the past. Okay, good. Let's say you've done it and you feel really good. But from today till tomorrow, something else can happen because life happens again and again and again, right? So therefore, I think that consistency, again, is physically your physical routine, what you do, how you train and everything, your discipline in doing this, but also your mental routine and emotional routine.
Yeah.
I think you cannot separate the three, ever.
No.
All right. I hope this helps.